I am about to go insane. My head is ready to explode. Back in 2010, paranormal investigator and blogger Fiona Broom was amongst friends just shooting the breeze. The topic of Nelson Mandela came up. The entire group, for the most part, thought that Nelson Mandela died in jail in the 1980s. But, as reality knows it in the books, Nelson Mandela died in 2013. How can an entire group of people misunderstand or misinterpret history? That's what's called the Mandela effect. In theory, it's basically parallel universes, or the idea that there is an alternate reality to what you actually believe, or what you believed to be the truth. Some sort of time travel thing. Many actually believe that CERN has something to do with this. Let me explain. We've all watched the movie Forrest Gump. I know I have. And one of the most infamous lines from that movie is, "Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get." Well, that reality is actually not true. If that's what you thought, you're probably scratching your head right now. In actuality, the line goes, "Life was like a box of chocolates." Don't believe me? Watch.
Hello. My name's Forrest Gump. You want a chocolate? I could eat about 1.5 million of these. My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates.
Life was like a box of chocolates? I don't remember it ever saying life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. It actually doesn't make sense to me. Okay, let's move on, because there are many other examples that I can show you. The most infamous of movies out there is the Star Wars series. And growing up as a child, I always remembered the big line from the movie, "Luke, I am your father." I used to say it all the time to my friends. "Luke, I am your father." Alright, I know that's a bad example. But, that's apparently not the line in the movie. Don't believe me? Watch.
One never told you what happened to your father. He told me enough. He told me you. No. I am your father.
No, I am your father? No, I am your father? No, that's not right. It's Luke, I am your father. That's the way I remember it. I'm sure that's the way you guys remember it too. Okay, here we have, for the older crowd who's watching these videos, if you remember an actor by the name of James Cagney, one of the movies that he did was called Taxi. And I remember growing up as a child, especially because my father used to say this all the time, the most infamous line from Taxi, "You dirty rat." I'm sure you remember that too. I'm sure even if you were younger, you remember hearing people say that. Well, apparently, that's not it. That's not the movie at all. And so, I'm going to play a clip here of the movie Taxi and show you, but pay attention, because you won't believe actually what he says.
He's gone, eh?
on, take it, you dirty yellow-bellied rat, or I'll give it to you through the door.
You dirty yellow-bellied rat? You dirty yellow-bellied rat? That's not my reality. I don't know where that line came from. It's always been, you dirty rat. Here, everybody, I don't know if everybody remembers this movie, but here's a movie, My Blue Heaven. They mimic, you dirty rat. Why would a movie mimic a line that does not exist?
You dirty rat. Snitch. Stool pigeon. Informer. Squealer.
You dirty rat.
I already said you dirty rat.
Yeah, but I say it better.
Why would a movie repeat a line that does not exist? I don't know how else to explain this. I don't know what is going on, why is going on, but there are things that I'm remembering that are actually being shown to me as false. Here's another example. Many people actually have seen this movie, I'm sure of it. Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner. Again, the biggest line from this movie is, if you build it, they will come. They, the entire team, will come and play. That's what the movie is about. Apparently that's not it. The line in reality, I guess in our new reality, is, if you build it, he will come. Who remembers that? It actually doesn't even make sense, but here it is in the movie. He will come? If you build it, he will come? I don't know what to believe anymore. I mean, if your mind hasn't blown already by now, wait, I have more. For you ladies out there, is it called Sex and the City? Or is it called Sex in the City? I mean, I really never watched this show, but I remember it being called Sex in the City, not Sex and the City. Sex and the City. It kind of doesn't make sense. Sex in the City. That's what the whole show was about, having sex in the city. Here's another one. I've got a lot here. Here we go with a commercial. Sara Lee cakes. Have you ever had them? They're actually pretty good. You know, they're the ones that you keep in the freezer or the refrigerator and then thaw it out. They're really good. Those pound cakes were really good. Well, anyway, the tagline that I remember from this commercial was, nobody does it like Sara Lee. Nobody does it like Sara Lee. That means nobody bakes like Sara Lee. She makes the best cakes. Basically, that's what it's saying. But the tagline is not that.
Of the real Sara Lee.
Have kids coming over? Get out a Sara Lee pound cake, slice it, and spread fresh fruit and whipped cream in layers. And when the kids get there, just take a bow. Nobody doesn't like Sara Lee.
Nobody doesn't like Sara Lee? Nobody doesn't like Sara Lee. First of all, that's two negatives in a sentence. Why would they even put that? I remember it as nobody does it like Sara Lee. How do you remember that? Okay, this next one, I'm sure probably most of us will end up wearing these one day, but I remember it as depends in my reality, not depend. This apparently is the real, and this is the fake. Depends. We used to make fun of it all the time, didn't you? I don't know what to think. Now we get into geography. And I am going to actually move the camera just a little bit so you can see. I'm a sort of history buff, and I loved history in school. Maps weren't my big thing, but I still looked at them, I still studied them. I knew all my states and my capitals in the United States, but doesn't this look a little funny to you? To me, South America was more to the west. It just seems as though South America has drifted towards the east. I mean, that's why it's called South America. It's south of America. Mexico used to be a little bit straighter, and South America should be actually right in this area here, not all the way over here. It doesn't make sense to me. Look at China. China is actually much bigger than that. In my reality, China was much bigger than that. Kazakhstan and Mongolia were much smaller. Nobody really knew about Mongolia. But look at the size of it. Look at the size of Kazakhstan. I mean, unbelievable. The biggest one of all is Australia. Okay? When in your reality was Australia touching New Guinea? When was it ever touching New Guinea? I remember Australia always being away from every other continent in the world. And look at New Zealand. New Zealand, from my memory, was up north more. It should actually be a little bit up north. I don't know where reality has gone. My reality has gone. I don't know where your reality has gone, but something has changed. And this Mandela effect, I think there's something to it. I think there needs to be a lot more research. But what I believe to be true is actually turning out to be false. And one more thing. Have you guys ever felt, maybe in the last 6 months or so, that, the things that you knew were true are actually not true at all? Or the things that you thought were right, you always knew this, or, I always thought it was that, but it's actually not, and you're finding yourself second guessing everything that you ever thought of before or believed in. There are many stories out there, and I beg everybody out there that's listening to this video to do some research, to look out for many, many other things out there. You can find hundreds of things that you thought were actually true that are actually false right now. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what's going on, but this isn't the end of this research, and you're going to hear a lot more from us in the future. Believe, believe, and believe. The Mandela effect. In theory, it's basically parallel universes, or the idea that there is an alternate reality to what you actually believe, or what you believed to be the truth. Some sort of time travel thing. Many actually believe that CERN has something to do with this. Let me explain. We've all watched the movie Forrest Gump. I know I have. And one of the most infamous lines from that movie is, "Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get." Well, that reality is actually not true. If that's what you thought, you're probably scratching your head right now. In actuality, the line goes, "Life was like a box of chocolates." Don't believe me? Watch. Friends, just shooting the breeze, the topic of Nelson Mandela came up. The entire group, for the most part, thought that Nelson Mandela died in jail in the 1980s. But, as reality knows it in the books, Nelson Mandela died in 2013. How can an entire group of people misunderstand or misinterpret history, that's what's called
Hello. My name's Forrest Gump. You want a chocolate? I could eat about 1.5 million of these. My mom always said, life.
I am about to go insane. My head is ready to explode. Back in 2010, paranormal investigator and blogger Fiona Broom was amongst